Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back. He is Byron.
Yep, that's still true.
And I'm Mike. And we're here to talk about WWE Raw.
Can we just talk about Dominion a lot? And then, we already did that, didn't we?
We already did that. We spent an hour and a half roughly doing Dominion talk.
Yeah, I noticed we got a lot of, for us, a lot of views. I think we were hovering around 50 views grand total, so landmark there.
All-time high.
We got like one thumb up, which may have been me. I don't remember. And no comments. So at least we didn't. I guess we didn't piss anybody off bad enough to have them yell at us. But a little positive. Little pat on the back. A little Barry Horowitz action would have been appreciated. So let us know what you think. That would be great.
Indeed. So we had Raw, and this was the June 12th Raw. 2017. And really, I only had two kind of positive streams of thought throughout this whole show, so it wasn't that good. There was nothing terrible, but the amount of things that really got me excited were quite minimal. So that's kind of my take on the show as a whole. Do you have anything you would like to add before we dive into this?
I thought it was a hot open followed by a bunch of bitty spots here and there, and some tolerable matches, and then some segments that were no good. If I was to give it all a whole nutshell. Also, just checked, we are at 54 whole views, sir. That
54
is
whole views in World War View.
Let's see. 10. So all of the rest of our videos combined have 14 views. So there you go.
We're making it in the world, Byron! It's amazing!
Six subscribers. Make sure you hit that button. If you don't hit that button, then, just keep coming on back. I don't
All right. So we opened up with Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar, and Samoa Joseph. I really like this. This is everything that you would think it would be. Heyman is very good on the mic. I did like the fact of bringing up that Samoan Joe is like one of the few Samoans that's not related to basically The Rock's family. Mm-hmm. That was kind of neat. And I really did think that Joe would be a fair bit smaller than Brock, which wasn't the case, actually. They look kind of same weight class, I reckon.
Yeah, I thought, you just kind of, everybody has this image of Brock Lesnar in their mind, and it's always overinflated. So when Joe and he went toe-to-toe, and Joe was like, what, an inch and a half shorter than him, maybe?
Maybe 2 inches.
Maybe 2 inches, and there was probably a weight discrepancy, but it didn't look like there was that much of one.
So that was interesting, and we got, I haven't seen one of these in a while, the locker room clearing brawl, which is pretty cool.
That's a classic. I like that. I as well. I can't remember the last one I saw, but it is refreshing.
Undertaker and Brock Lesnar had one, of course. So Brock Lesnar maybe a little too much of Brock Lesnar getting locker room clearing brawls. I don't know, but it was good. It was good. It really it gave this a big match feel to it, even though a lot of us are kind of thinking it's not going to be a big deal because we're going to get the Strowman Lesnar stuff. Like this is kind of a placekeeping feud as opposed to something proper. But it really makes me want to see what these two could do with a proper feud if this is what they do with the place.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to see the Joe Lesnar feud do Goldberg Lesnar, but I want to see that over the course of a whole fucking year. Yeah. Also, during the whole scuffle, the push kick that Joe threw, I think might have been a little stiff, and I think Brock might have been a little not happy about it. I just couldn't tell because by the time Joe even came down to the ring, it was pretty obvious that Lesnar was just he was just blown up. He was beat red, pouring with sweat.
He did in fact get blown up doing his bouncing thing, which that would be, I guess, the biggest negative to take from this.
Conditioning, folks, conditioning.
Conditioning is key. You need that conditioning. Then we had...
Next up, we had Elias Sampson.
Elias Sampson and his guitar and his burial of the Cajun people.
Yeah, I basically, once he started doing in with the cheap heat, I just skipped until I saw that Dean was coming out. I'm like, hey, it's Dean. And then they went to a promo package.
The match was fine, acceptable.
It was tolerable. I really thought that the "You Can't Wrestle, You Can't Sing" duo chant was hilarious. And then there was one guy right near. I don't know. The mic seemed hot for the crowd tonight. I think Kevin Dunn had slipped on a button.
Yeah, his teeth are huge. They do press buttons sometimes.
We'll steal from King Ross, no problem. So they would go, "You can't wrestle, you can't sing. You can't wrestle, you can't sing." And then that died down, and one guy right at ringside was like, "Hey, Dean, you can wrestle." It was making me giggle a lot. Also, when Dean is winding up to do his whatever, like anytime he's trying to get the crowd into stuff, he looks like he's pooping.
A little bit. I guess constipation would be a thing.
Well, I mean, he kind of closes his eyes and opens his mouth and kind of skitters from foot to foot, like really quick, like, gotta go, pooping, I'm pooping.
Oh, I just booed.
Pretty much. And then a couple of notes. Obviously, he's been hanging out with Greasy Edge too much because there were some super soft moves in here.
Yeah, Ambrose has always been kind of guilty of that when it comes to just like things he's not really into. He seems to be a guy who really. Like, he came out in the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast when he had Ambrose on there, and Austin was kind of basically accusing him of being like this, and he really didn't deny it. When Ambrose is not really into the program, the feud, everything that's happening with him, he goes super soft. And it's kind of like a way to tell whether he really feels that this is a good feud or not a good feud, is how often he goes super soft.
Yeah, I don't think this angle should die very fast, very very fast. And I'm totally. Can we just have the ultimate blow off to Edge and Dean? It's getting funny in the last couple of weeks, but it's just I don't want to see him wrestle. Can we just see him like dick with it? Can we give put the title on Elias Sampson, baby, and then dress him in polka dots and make him dance or whatever Vince wants. And then he can have the title, and he can do stuff, and we can watch Dean and Miz just kind of dick with each other endlessly, and we don't need to see him wrestle. Like it could just be like a backstage thing constantly. It'll be fine.
To a degree to agree. I don't really enjoy the Miz versus Ambrose matches from a technical wrestling standpoint, but they actually, the other stuff in this feud is growing on me. So that's kind of fun.
I need the bear spot to be an endless repetition. I need the bear spot to cling to Miz for the rest of his career. It's like not extremely frequently, but like every 8 to 10 months, I need the bear to show up and fuck with Miz again.
Just to finish up this match, basically, the only thing I really want to note, other than the finish, is Booker T doesn't seem to know what a cheap shot is, which was kind of terrible. Basically, we get Miz and Maurice come out, and Dean almost gets counted out. And I have to go back to this. I don't really get why Dean, lunatic fringe, crazy man, living on the outskirts of town, whatever, is ever worried about the Maurice Human Shield bit. I don't get it. Like, I feel like she should just get like smashed. And then it's like, yeah, well, don't get my way next time. Like, that's really it. Like, he should not care.
You are at ringside. You are in the splash zone.
Pretty much. Like, especially with Maurice kind of feuding with The Miz and not giving him his love. Like, really, this would be a perfect time to have that human shield spot just backfire.
Correct.
Dean gets in to break up the count, but ends up getting pinned by Elias after a neck breaker anyways. So, Elias Sampson. Still, I believe, undefeated against Dean Ambrose. Go figure.
I believe he's undefeated on the main roster.
That is also true. Well, almost all his matches have been against Dean Ambrose, except for one jobber match.
Technically correct. The best kind of correct.
We get a Shattered Dreams Productions promo package. It was really good. It was really good. It's always good. Goldie does fantastic work. I would love to see Dustin Runnels in a Lucha Underground type deal, or hell, even like Impact Wrestling, where he just get a little bit more feature. I mean, we have seen him in Impact Wrestling, but unfortunately it was as Black Rain, and it was
Substandard.
Terrible. Substandard does not do it justice. It was terrible. This was fun. Basically, the gist of it is he's bizarre. He's golden. Truth didn't really understand him and wasn't really his friend. And you have not seen anything yet.
Yeah, it's just a classic example of Goldie's delivery, and he's just the best at it, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, like there's nothing complex about the content here or the quotation marks writing. It's just all delivery. We move on to Miz talking with Kurt Angle in the back, so the Angle. And Angle is generally really, really pissed off that Miz went out there, interfered in the match, doing what Miz does. Miz offends him by talking about his personal issues and talking to him in a manner that Kurt Angle did not appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
And Kurt Angle will do absolutely nothing about Dean Ambrose. I will say the ending of this bit was a bit awkward because this whole thing starts because Angle is pissed off that Miz tried to do something about Dean Ambrose. And at the end of the thing, Kurt Angle basically said, "It is up to you to do something about Dean Ambrose."
Correct.
So, yeah, we kind of ended right back where we started. That kind of ruined it for me. Up until that point, I was digging it.
Yeah, it was not a great finisher to the whole scenario. I'm fine with the end result. Like, you guys got to duke it out yourself. Fine, great, I don't care. That's what this is a wrestling show. They should be wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine. But whoever wrote it should probably be... There should just be a lot of firings in the WWE because there's a lot wrong with what they're putting on TV. And that's just a case in point. Like, how do you spend all week writing something and not notice that your 30-second spot has a logic loop to it? What are you, 5 years old?
Yeah, you could have done this last week with Miz getting angry and storming into Angle's office or something, or even at the beginning of tonight's show. And then did basically the exact same thing, but just have Miz be the one who kind of initiates the whole angry argument.
Mm-hmm.
The way this was done, it just, I don't know, made Angle look wishy-washy.
I'm just going to go ahead and blame Vince.
Should not really be something Angle. Then we had a bit with Cedric Alexander, Noam Dar, and Alicia Fox, with Dar and Fox on FaceTime. This was painful. This sucked.
Yeah, this was the worst. This was the second worst thing I've seen on Raw this year. I didn't want to watch it because of the horrendous shrieking. They've managed in the last 3 months to completely kill any enthusiasm I had at all for seeing any women's matches or women being involved in any way, shape, or form other than just valets. I don't want to watch the women's battle royal or the women's Money in the Bank because I've seen the match 17 times already. I don't want to watch anybody challenge for the Raw or the Raw women's title because I don't care. Like, there's no reason to watch any of these. They're all being booked horribly. It's just terrible. And then they have Alicia Fox just screaming and bitching and hollering, and at the end, I have a couple of notes. FaceTiming over the PA, this fucking sucks. Squash match incoming. Jesus, just stop. This has gone on 8 years too long. One hitter quitter, thank God. She's still talking. Fuck. Followed by, in all caps, she's still fucking talking. No!
Yeah, I can't verify. These are his notes.
I've taken to sending the raw notes to Mike so that he can watch the show and then read my notes, and I guess he can have a kind of a, I don't know, just have a comparison of my views to yours, and then we can go from there. But anyway, I try and make him entertaining because, well, that's just how my brain works. This was, if it hadn't been over the PA, it probably would have been fine. I probably even would have liked it, but she's so annoying.
I don't even know if I would have liked it if you take away the PA aspect.
She's so annoying.
This was not good. And this feud, the thing is, this feud should have been something.
Yeah, but they don't
Not
let
like
Noam Dar wrestle.
not like a highlight or anything, but the logic of the feud has been terrible because Cedric Alexander came back and said, I don't care about Alicia Fox. I dumped her. She's my ratchet ass ex-girlfriend. I'm moving on, only to then wrestle Noam Dar repetitively. And
only to storm into Noam Dar.
Yeah, it stormed into Noam Dar's.
I'm over this. I'm over this. Did you hear me? I'm over this. Like, yeah, we heard you last week.
Yeah,
what are you doing
we did
here?
hear you. It's been bad, and then the match quality hasn't been what it should be because, as stated, they're not really letting Noam Dar wrestle in any way. They're they're letting Cedric Alexander get his stuff in, I guess, but like this feud could have, in all seriousness, this feud could have been something good, not great, but something that I at least enjoyed, and I've enjoyed no part of it. Really, no part whatsoever. The best thing to come out of this whole Noam Dar Alicia Fox storyline was that I enjoyed Rich Swann and Sasha Banks' interactions. That's the biggest pro of this entire feud, and that is an indictment.
Well, yeah.
The match, if you can call it that, was basically a lumbar check for a 3 count.
Yeah, that went on too long. Like, you watched Cedric Alexander squatting there in the center of the ring for like 2.5 minutes. And the lumbar check's a cool move, but I don't need that to be the whole shenanigans. I would like to see a match. Anyway, let's move on from that.
Then we had a Roman Reigns package. Nothing really to talk about there. Yep. Then we had Bray Wyatt talking, and Bray Wyatt can really say just about anything, and his delivery is so good that it makes it good.
Yes.
And Seth Rollins missed his cue, but you know what? Take that away. This was actually pretty decent. Like, Seth did a good job with his part of the promo. Not as good as Bray, but you're not going to get someone as good as Bray, so yeah, I'm willing to live with that.
My one real issue, and I have, again, I'm just going to keep saying I have notes because I do, that the charisma difference in the ring is vast.
Yes.
You put a child in there against a wrestler. Seth Rollins does not have promo ability. He can recite lines. I bet you he gets every single line they ever give him perfect. I bet you he gets a letter perfect every single time, no issues. But I don't buy any of it. There's no reason for me to cheer for this guy beating an way past his prime Triple H for the 37th time at WrestleMania. I don't care. You were injured for a long time. Fine. Still don't care. You can wrestle, but you're not spectacular at it. It never catches my attention. I've never seen a match that Rollins was involved with that I went, that Rollins kid. Or even, ooh, that was a great move, or that was a good sequence. I just see him do spots. They're basic spots. Everybody can do those spots. I don't get it. I don't understand the total package that I'm supposed to be buying into here.
I kind of bought into him on the Money in the Bank cash-in. That was a match where I really enjoyed him. And there was some stuff in ROH that was really good, but not stuff that he's been able to particularly duplicate here. I have a higher opinion of Seth Rollins than you do. I think we've established that, and there's not really any real need to hash through that.
No.
But the charisma difference here is considerably vast, and I noticed this all the way back in ROH with him and Jimmy Jacobs, and I'm not a Jimmy Jacobs fan, but the charisma difference even there was quite large, and he hasn't really grown particularly. Like, he is better charismatically than when he started wrestling, but it hasn't grown as much as if I could go back in time and talk to myself like of not quite a decade ago, but probably more than a half decade ago, and say that Tyler Black, as he was known then, was going to be a WWE champion. I probably would have had just higher expectations for what that was going to look like.
Yeah, well,
it hasn't really lived up to it.
When I heard that they put the ROH title on him, and I didn't have a clue as to why. Like, did everybody leave?
The fans were quite hot for him.
All right.
I've just never particularly got into it the same way, the same level of investment that the fans do have. And I must say, even in WWE, the fans have an investment in him, but the thing is, it seems to be going down as well, even with like the casual fan, with the way that he's been booked, and they need to, if they want him to be like one of the guys, they really need to figure out how to replicate what got the fans behind him and stop doing what they are currently doing.
Yeah, I see the fans react to him, and I see that he is popular. I understand, like, I'm not denying any of these things. He's over with the fans. I just don't get it, and I don't have a window into that. I need something. I need him to. I guess I need a new Money in the Bank cash-in type scenario for him to like impress me or catch my attention. Or, I mean, if it's going to be one of those careers where nobody really gives a crap, and then every 5 years he does something kind of wild and crazy, and then people are into him for another 6 months, I guess that's what's up. But I just don't have a window in there. I don't know why I should care.
Fair enough. Only thing I was disappointed here is I thought there should have been some kind of physical confrontation here as opposed to just Bray doing the disappearing Bray act.
Yeah.
And then we had the Hardy Boys talking backstage with one of the interview bots, and this was meh. Nothing to write home about.
I did like the fact that they opened it with "Yes, delightful." That was good. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Anything broken will be a nice touch.
Yeah. Apparently, they did an interview. I'm not sure who with, but they did an interview, and Matt was just like, "Yeah, we're totally doing the broken gimmick. It's just a matter of time." I guess they'll just tweak it and they'll get around the legalese. If they can't get the rights to the gimmick, they'll do it anyway.
Yeah, not really worried about that. Then we had Apollo Crews versus Kalisto with Akira Tozawa. With a front row seat courtesy of one Titus O'Neil, which you wouldn't think would be a big thing, but the announcers tried to play it off as a big thing.
Yeah, this one was kind of like I have enjoyed the Titus brand sort of gimmick thing. Like, I don't know why he's only working against Kalisto. Is it because Kalisto's the guy that's supposed to be able to carry him? Well, you know what? It is working. I was about to crap on it, but Crews has shown personality. He did the no thing tonight or last night. Him and Titus work well together because he's not just a mindless dude. He's not just like, oh, this guy's gonna make my career. Like, in character, he's going, I recognize this is some BS, but we're getting somewhere, so I'll go with it for now.
Mm-hmm. It was the biggest push he's basically gotten.
Exactly. Like, but as an in-character thing, I can see the Apollo Crews character kind of recognizing things about this particular scenario with Titus O'Neil. Again, Tozawa's the best part of this. Kalisto also was very good in the match. Tozawa is just like everything this guy does from almost from a facial and vocal standpoint is great. He's
fantastic in the ring.
Oh, he's fantastic in the ring. And even if you took away all the ring stuff, he'd probably be the best manager ever. His facial expressions, his timing, his delivery, he doesn't mess up any lines. He's just great, and he was the best part of this too because he got to play a little awkward and ragdolly and kind of ridiculous. And I'd be interesting to see who they're pushing towards because they're pushing Alexander, and they're also obviously pushing Tozawa. So who's going to get the shot at the title next?
I would say that I'm thinking it's Tozawa just because of a little bit of a spoiler because of Neville's thing at the end.
Yeah, well, they've outright said it. Like, they said it before, like, he's going to be the next champ, and Titus O'Neil's... But I couldn't tell if that was just a Titus O'Neil spouting off thing or not.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with that, although there is going to be a 205 rant coming up when we get there.
Oh, snap.
Crews gets the win with a sit-out powerbomb. And then, Tozawa gets, thrown in the ring to join the celebration with Titus and Apollo. Holler at your boy, your best friend, Apollo Crews. Then we had Slater and Rhino eating some cheese and crackers, and
I liked this spot.
I liked it. I did enjoy it. And Miz just points out about the Marine deal with Slater, and he wants Slater to join his entourage, be his muscle, I guess, which is a bit weird when you're going to Heath Slater for muscle, but okay. And then Miz is trying to smear Kurt Angle to them, and then Slater says, before I had kids, I was a kid. When I would go to these wrestling shows with my granddad, my mom, I had one dream. He's just like, all this time he is staring at the IC belt on Miz's shoulder. Wanted to be an Intercontinental Champion.
Yep, that was, I liked his delivery. I haven't really seen a ton of Slater, only because I wasn't watching at the time that he was doing things on the main roster. Before, I guess they released him a while back. So when he made his comeback, I didn't really see much in him, but now I'm seeing a bunch. He's definitely got the charisma.
Slater's got a lot of charisma. You should
give him a spot.
Should go watch him do his work. He's also apparently a guy they seem to trust really, really intrinsically with safety. Because if you go back to the Nexus feud when they had Bret Hart involved in it, Bret Hart can't take a bump. And if you watch those kind of brawls, deals, any kind of physical stuff Bret Hart did, it was always with Heath Slater. So it's like they trust him as like this soft hand who could work with people too. And then they did the whole thing during nearing one of the Raw milestones. They had a bunch of former legends come out to wrestle Slater, basically, with him being like, he would like do like a thing like there was one where he was like, "This is Slater's world," and then "I'm the master of the world," and then Psycho Sid comes out.
Nice.
And they did wrestles. He also Vader, Lita, Doink the Clown, Diamond Dallas Page, Rikishi, etc. Bunch of legends. And again, they trusted him to work with like those kind of guys. So there's something intrinsically safe about Slater, which is why he'll probably kind of always have a job. And his charisma is really good, even if he like doesn't do anything for me in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, he was, spoiler alert, they have a match later. But he looked fine in the ring. I've never had an issue with his wrestling style. You're right, he doesn't catch anybody's attention, but there's nothing I can, like, it's not like, well, for example, The Miz, where I can deliberately, and I can see things in his style that are not good. But I can't do that with Slater. It's just that he's serviceable to good, and that's maybe all he's ever going to be.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like, sadly, he's pretty much the biggest find off of the whole Nexus angle. Like, I think he might be the only one still on contract, except for David Otunga, who's doing commentary. Oh, and Darren Young. Darren Young's still around, but the fact that I can't remember that Darren Young was around immediately does tell you, I think, everything you need to know about that particular problem.
Correct.
So, yeah, we end up with Rhino saying, "I'm going to go find Kurt Angle. I'm going to get us a match. You need to go find a tag team partner." All he's doing this while he's got a mouthful of Cheese Whiz and like spray cheese and crackers. So Rhino does like a filthy pig very well.
Yeah, it was great. You know what? When he started just like hosing it down with cheese and winding it up, I was like, he's going to put that right in Miz's face, and this is going to be a great spot. And he didn't do it.
I hope that does happen, though.
I was really hoping for that. I was like, oh, here it comes. Oh, well, I guess that's okay, too. But wasn't that... It was going to be a lot better. And then we had a tag match. Holla, holla, player!
Yeah, I mean, this backstage bit was good, but the thing is it doesn't really lead to anything other than just the continuation of the Ambrose, spoiler, Ambrose Miz stuff.
It gives them time not to be going directly at each other, and it allows for some shenanigans later on and possibly the match of the night.
Yeah.
And then we moved on to
Alexa Bliss,
the female avalanche from hell.
Yeah.
I have notes. Can I go over my notes just to re-encapsulate things very quickly? All right, we have titled Bliss Spot. Start off with lame heel stuff. Hey, it's Nia Jax. Pretty obvious that Bliss needs someone to bounce things off of. She's not any good on her own. Brooke and James enter the match. Somebody said something about Dwarf, and my note here is someone's getting tossed for sure. And then Emma came down. Jesus, does every women's segment have to turn into a train wreck? Giant schmoz match incoming, I swear. Banks too? Fuck. Can this get more schmozzy? Massive pop for Banks. Everyone form an orderly line for promos. No pushing. Oh shit, that was a pretty stiff mic shot. Schmoz fast! And then we had schmoz match. And my note for schmoz match was, this was, quote, an match. Good to see they've completely buried Bayley's very existence. Bliss versus Banks angle? I'm not sure I'm interested. There will be a Bayley spot. And then they kind of ran a promo package. Oh, interview with Bayley later on. It's like, there will be a Bayley spot. So we can run her down some more. And then there were 40 more minutes of straight promo packages and talking to the announcers and straight promo packages and shit like that.
Yeah, I really can't disagree with really anything you said. I'll just kind of go slightly in depth on some of the things.
No, please don't. Okay, go ahead.
I had basically two issues when Mickey and Dana come out. Number one is that a couple of weeks ago, Dana was approached by Emma to basically retain the sidekick role she had before. Emma got hurt and she basically transferred over to Charlotte. And Dana had this big, kind of interesting thing. It wasn't great because Dana's not any good right now. Maybe she can become good. I don't know, but she's not any good right now. So I didn't really like it at the time, where she basically says, "I'm going to be my own woman," and basically tells Emma to go to hell.
Well,
and then she's now right on the hip of Mickie James, basically being Mickie James's sidekick, and it's like, well, that really didn't go anywhere at all.
That's true. I kind of view the James and Brooks combination. Obviously they want Mickie James to help her out, and it's, from what I can tell, it's going well. B, this seems more of a partnership than a sidekick thing. They don't seem to have neither one of these is the leader of any particular group or faction. These are just they just happen to be together. When anybody approaches them backstage, they just happen to be talking together. They're not like a tag team or anything.
Yeah, no, she parrots a little too much of what Mickey says for that to really work. But maybe this is where this is going. The other thing I had was Mickie James using dwarf lines is kind of... I didn't like it because, of course, Mickie James famously was the victim of the Piggy James stuff.
Yeah,
with Laycool. So for her to make fun of for her to kind of be in the Laycool mode. Now, this was much more lighthearted than the Piggy James stuff, and it was maybe a one-time deal, but it still didn't sit all that well with me.
I was fine with it. I call people short all the time.
And let's see what else we got. Yeah, basically Smosh. The only person who comes off good in this whole thing is Sasha. Everyone else comes off as just really frankly, Alexa is correct. They are just trying to grab her spotlight.
Like I said, this was an match.
Yeah, in the match itself, Bliss basically just abandoned her team. Got a kind of good, literal finish to it, where Emma rolls up Sasha Banks to try to go for the pin, but Sasha turns it into the bank statement. That was kind of neat, but everything else was there, and it was not really any good.
Give it the Braun Strowman garbage stamp of approval.
It to quote the big Vinny V, it was a match, which you seem to be incorporating in your gimmick.
I was not privy to this particular gimmick, but I will accept it as my particular tribute.
And then Finn Balor package, then Bayley with a Wimpy Kid interview, and it sucked.
I want to give everybody a hug. Just release her. Just release her. You've buried her.
They don't know what they're... I'm assuming they don't know what they're doing with her, because if they do know what they're doing with her, they're intentionally burying her. I don't. If
if this is a long-term, Bailey gets beat down for being nice to the point where she snaps, I guess I'll put up with it for another 2 months. But in the end of 2 months, there's no giant payoff one way or the other. Just fucking release her. You have destroyed her career, you idiots.
Pretty much, because the thing is, even if they're doing like a Bailey snaps kind of deal, you don't have to. She was so over coming out of NXT. Like
you didn't have to do that with John Cena. Didn't have to do it with Hulk Hogan. Didn't have to do it with like anybody else I can point to.
The thing is that how do I put this? In NXT, Bailey came off as an adult with the innocence of a child to a degree. Yeah. Like a childlike joy in what she was doing. On the main roster, she has come off as a child.
Yes.
Like someone who, well, legally an adult in terms of age and so on, is mentally not developed beyond a child stage. It's not that she takes a child's joy in some of the stuff. It's that her mind doesn't go beyond it. Like you saw it with the Alexa Bliss "This Is Your Life" deal for Bailey. You know, oh, she actually hasn't kissed a boy. She had to have her dad watch, go to school with her and stuff, and it's like, I don't know how I'm supposed to cheer for her. It's like you want me to cheer for her out of pity. I'm not.
That don't work.
Not going to do that. It's worse than the Eugene stuff, really, in a way. Like Eugene in a way was worse because it was like going kind of literally with the retarded angle. But
I was wondering if they're trying to make her into the female Eugene, but people liked him because he was fun and funny. They don't like Bailey because she's a fucking wimp.
The thing is that Eugene was never supposed to be anything more than lower mid card, really, and never really had the potential to be money. Bailey has the potential to be money, to be a champion, to be the top woman in that division, and you are absolutely sandbagging the shit out of it. I don't know. I don't understand.
Against a girl who's 5 foot tall in the wrestling business. Yeah, they always inflate the height. She's probably 4'10.5", and they're making. It's not even that the tiny chick is very smart and very devious.
No. Bailey's just dumb.
Fast. Yeah, it's not about an intelligence thing, and it's not about a speed thing. You would expect somebody that small to be a lot faster, but they're just making Bailey look like a complete idiotic fool. And just release her. That's just it. You've destroyed the character. Even if you take her off TV, she's way too famous. You're never going to be able to repackage her. Just release her.
Yeah, you've been on this for like even longer than I have, but like I don't. You clearly don't have any interest in actually pushing her. I don't get it. I don't.
Doesn't make any sense.
Then we had Slater and Rhino versus Miz and The Bear.
This was the best match of the night.
I wouldn't dispute that. Actually, this was good. It wasn't a match quality match, but like from a story and a comedic standpoint, this was really good.
Yeah, this was very good. The announcers were destroying each other, making bear jokes and bear puns. Oh, this
paranoia.
Barely legal.
Barely
bear hug. Somebody said grin and bear it. There was a bear switch. There was a wife bump. This was apparently a no DQ match in the last 18 seconds of the match, but that's whatever. Graves was on fire.
Even Cole was on reasonable fire.
Yeah, I like the fact, like, I have a note here that said Bear holding the tag rope like a pro, and about 2 minutes later, I can't remember who it was, but one of the announcers was like, he's holding on to, I think it was Booker T, said, he's got that tag rope, he knows exactly what he's doing, he's obviously a professional. Something like that.
He's the open bear paw champion of the 100-acre forest.
There you go. This was, I mean, the actual wrestling in the match was perfectly fine.
Again, it was paid by numbers, but it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't boring, and it wasn't slow, and there was, or if it was, I mean, the bear jokes were coming a mile a minute.
It was pretty slow, but this is one of the few times where commentary actually enhanced a match in WWE.
It was so good. When Cole, and I have it written down right here, that Michael Cole made the barely legal joke. That was probably the best, except for when somebody said paranoia. I don't know. I don't have that written down.
Paranoia was Graves.
Was it Graves? There you go. But barely legal. So good.
This was great. This was
props.
Really
mad props. And Cole just, like, he not only did he make the one good joke, but he kept going and going and going. Like, props to Cole.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only time I can remember Cole being, like, very noteworthy other than when I was just tired of him or whatever. But it was good.
As for the action, such that it was, Miz got isolated early on. The bear tags himself in, does some spots with Slater with the bear paw.
Yeah. Bear slaps into a bear
and then
hug.
Rhino hits him in the back, and he goes to tag Miz in, and then Miz attacks the bear because he's clearly still thinking it's Ambrose.
Mm-hmm. Even though it's Tito.
Yeah.
I thought it might be Baron Corbin.
Oh! Miz eventually gets the head off the bear, and it's not Ambrose, which anyone could have told you. Some random dude.
I was kind of interested to see if it was somebody in particular, but it was just some random dude.
Yeah, it was just a random dude. Maybe one of the NXT in developmental guys.
Probably.
Probably. And then Slater is beating up the Miz, and the bear comes in favoring his stomach, and Slater's like, trying to help him, and then the bear hits Slater with dirty deeds, and this was kind of the one thing I didn't really get, and I'll get to it in a second, because the bear is Ambrose. Miz knocks Maurice off of the apron and is so distraught, and actually sells this pretty well that he's because they've been selling the whole night that Maurice is really pissed with him. No blowjobs for you, Miz. And then Miz gets hit with dirty deeds. Ambrose rolls Slater onto the Miz for the pin. I'm not really sure why he dirty deeds Slater. That kind of was the one thing I didn't really understand about this whole thing.
It was just a way to signal to the crowd that it's Dean Ambrose. It was just a way to set up the final, like, wife bump. And all of that shenanigans. As a short-term, way to link everything together, storytelling-wise, I'm fine with it. I mean, technically, the bear was in a match against Slater, so there is that. Also, he's supposed to be a crazy wild man who just does things randomly, so that works fine.
Yeah, that would work if they actually had him be a crazy wild man, but
yeah,
they really don't.
You might not have been able to hear my sarcasm on that one.
I know.
But yeah, it was just like for a variety of reasons, I was fine with it. For just a random match. Well, I guess that kind of throws the no DQ thing out the window, because technically, you know what? That's exactly why they did it, because the bear was on the other team. So he dirty deeds Slater, and then he also dirty deeds his own partner. You can't DQ a guy for hitting your own guy. And then he gives...
Well, if you could, it would have already been done when Miz attacked the bear.
Exactly. So that's exactly why they did it. So Dean Ambrose swerves him again. Mm-hmm. There you go. It actually made sense now that we sit back and look at it.
Yeah, puts the bear head on Miz, so Miz gets to wear the bear head. So yeah, no, it was funny. It was good. This was everything that it could be. We'll put it that way.
Exactly. I think they were handed a giant casserole of shit, and they made like shepherd's pie of excellence out of this. This was very good for what they were handed.
Mm-hmm. Then we had Hardyz and Sheamus and Cesaro promo for later tonight. Then we had Neville versus Rich Swann. This match never gets going because Neville Pearl Harbors Rich Swann and beats him up, puts him in the Rings of Saturn, causes him to pass out.
This was the second time in one night they did a 205 color switch over. Why did they bother?
Yeah, well, this is where my rant comes in. Number one is what you just said. We had two 205 matches on this card. Well, we technically won because this one never even got it underway, and they were just they weren't matches. So again, not really doing anything to promote the division in really any way, shape, or form. Not really getting it over as the action that it can be, and also just for this one is Rich Swann is your most recent champion. Like Neville won the belt off of him. You've put him kind of over Noam Dar. You're building something in him, only to have him just get Pearl Harbored and destroyed. Like, what is the point of this? What really is the point?
What the only thing I can think of is that they have big plans. You notice that this all kind of really intensified when rumors were circulating that Cedric Alexander was on his way back, right?
A little bit.
So I wonder if we get another feud against Neville with Tozawa where Neville goes over again and then Alexander's like, listen, that's my belt. And then we go from there. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe they've decided that Tozawa is supposed to be the next big guy and then I don't know where Alexander fits in, but I think they're trying to make a giant. What they're trying to do, I think, is they're trying to make a giant face for 205, where Neville's awesome, but you don't tune in to cheer the heel predominantly.
No, I absolutely get that, but like in the process, you've buried the rest of the division to the point where Dar is useless right now. He's a pussy whipped guy with a funny accent and funny hair who doesn't win, doesn't do anything exciting in the ring, and has gotten basically you've jobbed him out to Rich Swann and now to Cedric Alexander, and now in fairness, you didn't job Rich Swann out to Neville, but you did have him get his ass completely kicked. So Dar is buried, Swann is kind of buried, the division is kind of buried because he had two 205 matches, neither of which got any time to be matches. So even if you do come out of this with a big face, be it Tozawa or Cedric Alexander, two guys I'm very, very behind, and think that there's some great money in both of them. Hell, a feud between those two could be absolutely epic. But like the amount of damage you're doing to the rest of the division to make that happen is, I don't even know if it's necessarily recoverable.
Yeah, I mean, when was the last time we even heard of Grand Metalik? That was months ago?
When he faced Noam Dar, who you gave, and there you go, you gave Noam Dar a win over him only to just bury Noam Dar 7 feet under. So, yeah, I'm trying to figure out if this is a worse waste than Bayley, because at least with Bayley, it's like, it's one person. With this, it's like
not a whole division.
It's an entire division. Yeah, not really. All I really have to say on that is this sucks. Not because of anything Neville or Swann did or any wrestler did. Just the booking of this division is I don't understand why I'm supposed to care. Like, the only reason I care about the division is because I've seen these guys wrestle other places. Like, that is the only investment I have.
I don't understand what they're doing. I mean, Neville's raised, in my opinion, Neville's raised attention way above where it used to be for the 205 division. The problem is that they're not doing. It would be like having Hulk Hogan in his prime show up and keeping 85% of the guys off TV just so that Hulk Hogan can have one match every week. And then Hulk Hogan gets beat. The problem is that 85% of your guys no one's ever heard of now. So should I care that Grand Metalik is coming out? I mean, the Mustafa Ali angle is great.
I've enjoyed that. Like him and Drew Gulak are doing great stuff.
Yeah, the problem is I only get to see that every 2 weeks. So, meh.
That's the thing, is that there is a retarded amount of potential in this division. Every one of these guys is a fantastic worker. Most of them are pretty good on the mic, actually. It's not even a case of like they can't talk. Like, because a couple of them I don't really enjoy on the mic, but like Austin Aries, fantastic on the mic. Neville's fantastic. Tozawa is not per se fantastic on the mic, but his charisma is fantastic on the mic.
Yes.
Kendrick is good on the mic. Noam Dar can be good on the mic. Alexander can be good on the mic. Rich Swann is not to me good on the mic, but the crowd does react to him. And then TJP's solid as well. Like, that is a lot of talent to be completely wasting.
Mm-hmm.
It's confusing. It really is. It's like they wanted to take all the talent off the indies and like, no, the indies can't rival us. Blah! Look, they're really not that good. Like, am I really supposed to buy that? Do you really think I'm that dumb? I don't. Ugh, frustrating. The promo itself that Neville cut was good. He's the king of the cruiserweights. How many pretenders does he have to victimize to get his respect, to get his due? And then basically he wants Tozawa. Doesn't want Tozawa, but like, if his advice to Tozawa would be to run away unless you want to end up bending the knee before your king. So Neville's doing good work, and the problem is the rest of the division is so very buried right now.
Yarp.
We had basically the Sheamus and Cesaro answer to the Hardyz with a backstage promo. They bury the Hardyz book, which also brings up the Hardyz book, so people may buy it.
Indeed.
They're going to have to write a new book, which is Inspiration to Retire. And not only do they set the bar, they are the bar! And then, forearm smash.
Yarp.
It's good, nothing great, but you know what? It got the message across, and I'm fine with it.
And the crowd was still really, like, the crowd in the arena was still really loud. You could hear guys making comments. You can hear people, like, yelling things. I don't need to know, like, I think one guy even said boring or yawn or something like that. Like, I don't need to hear that, dude.
Yeah.
God damn it, Kevin Dunn, what is wrong with you?
And then we get something I was actually pretty happy about: the Club versus Cass and Enzo.
Yarp.
And Cass is laid out again. He's been hit in the back of the head so hard, hardest he's ever been hit. He says,
with the top guys
in the background.
Chop guys.
Which I guess probably makes me think they did. I kind of want. If I had to answer, I want them to have done it because I don't want to break Cass and Enzo up. So the idea of one of them being behind it is not something I'm a fan of, and it sets up a feud with the Revival. So yeah, I'm fine with that because I don't want really the Revival near the tag team titles right now until they figure out what's going to happen with the Hardys. Because then
they can't even get American Alpha over. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, that is very true. So, moving on. Cass starts the match. He's still very clearly hurt, still very wheezy. By the way, the club did a good job on the mic. I was cracking up with their work, so that was good.
They always do a really good job.
So Nerds. Cass still beating up on Anderson despite not being able to balance properly. So kind of puts Cass over again. Is really good, and he actually did a pretty good job of selling too. So that's,
there was a lot of good selling in this match. There wasn't too much to the match, and it was, in a nutshell, it was a good segment. I wouldn't even call it really a match, but it was a good segment to get everybody kind of over. Like it got Enzo over as a guy who can, he can wrestle. He can. So everybody shut your noise holes. It gave Cass kind of like the, eye of the tiger kind of thing going on with him. Like he's going to get the job done no matter what. The club got over as being really bad guys that will victimize whoever. They don't care.
It got the club a much needed W.
And I got the Big Show on TV, which I'm always happy about. So there you go.
Yeah, Enzo did some work 2v1 for a bit after basically Cass was out of the match, but he's got some moments, but he falls to the Magic Killer, and that's really about it right there. And then the club wants to beat Enzo down further because they're the club and they're bad guys. And Big Show comes out. They make themselves scarce, which makes sense because last week he basically destroyed them. And basically sells that Cass is rather jealous of the Big Show, and probably thinks that the Big Show is the one that hit him because, again, hit hardest he's ever been hit. 500-pound Big Show, guy with a knockout punch. It makes sense. So then we have an R-Truth promo, and this was the rebound I was hoping after I was kind of unmoved by him last week. He did a much better job here. I will say, if I have one criticism for his promos, it's that his intensity kind of wanes a lot during the promos. Like it kind of goes down a little bit lower than it really should. Like there should be emphasis on things, but there are times where like it's almost like he's just talking to the camera as opposed to cutting a promo.
Yeah,
so I bring that up a little bit.
He starts out as R-Truth and ends up as Randy Orton.
Yeah, so a little more consistency. Amp it a little bit. And this would be really, really good. And he's doing good stuff. And he did not quote Samuel L. Jackson this time around.
Correct.
So I am happy with that. This feud is... I'm really enjoying it. I didn't really think I was going to, and I really am. So over-delivery. Which is kind of... just to kind of segue. This kind of been the theme of this show. Is that... realistically speaking, the things I expect to deliver are not delivering. And the things that are like complete throwaways, like they are doing 120% with. And why can they not take that effort, that quality, and apply it to the storylines that actually mean something? What the hell?
Yep.
So we get Big Show and Enzo backstage. Enzo... he has to know if Show did it. Like, he just has to know. Big Show is offended by this. And, I saved your ass 2 weeks in a row. You're asking me this question. I know what it is. It's your partner wants to know about this. Well, I got one word for your partner. I'm going to spell it out. S-A-W-F-T. Soft.
Correct.
And that was good. I liked it.
And it was a good spot. These guys have great chemistry together, and it just kind of puts over how good Enzo is in front of the camera and on the mic is a general thing. He's just, he can do anything with anybody, apparently. He's just that good.
Oh, I've never had a problem with anything he's done. Like his work with Sasha Banks early on in his run was good. Big Show here. His ability to make fun of just about anybody. His stuff with Cass obviously is great. He's dynamite on the mic. Again, I'm indifferent on him in the ring, but as a member of a tag team, this is more than acceptable.
Oh, yes.
Then we get a recap of the brawl from earlier in the night. We get Joe backstage. I love this promo. Joe isn't changing his strategy, and everything is going according to plan. Heyman and Lesnar are playing right in to that big Samoan paw.
My note for this is, dude's good on the mic, type it on up.
That's pretty much it. And for those who don't get that, it's a Carl Anderson reference.
Correct.
Where in a PWG show, he's out in the crowd beating a guy up, and he just goes, "Yeah, Machine Gun's pretty good. Type it on up." And then we move on to the main event, and I was immediately kind of disenfranchised with this because I looked at the clock and realized how much time was left. And that it wasn't nearly enough to do a 2 out of 3 falls match in any real proper way.
You've got a 3-hour show. You've got a 2 out of 3 falls match. That means you have a 2-hour show with a 2 out of 3 falls match. And that's all there is to it. You don't squeeze a 2 out of 3 falls for the tag team championship
into less than 20 minutes.
12, was it? I thought it was 12 minutes grand total.
I think it was closer to 15.
I don't include promo packages.
Well, yeah, we're about to get to the promo packages. You're trying to squeeze it into 15 minutes, and of course, Of course, we need to see the Roman Reigns promo that we saw earlier in the night again. Because Roman Reigns is that important. Even when Roman Reigns is not on the show, we must have Roman Reigns in the main event.
Yeah, nobody cares.
They did what they could in like telling a story in like, let's say a fifth the time that they should really have to do this. Sheamus scored the first fall after really not much. He just kind of kicked Jeff Hardy on the top rope, and Hardy fell, and that was the pinfall.
Boring. Move on.
So that's not great. I did really, really love Sheamus's getting kicked out of the ring by Jeff Hardy. He's going like Jeff Hardy does the on his back, like kick the guy off, and Sheamus goes flying through the ropes. So like that was like it's such a small thing, but it was really well done. Like he did it perfectly. I love it. These four guys are some of my favorites, really. I liked Matt smashing Cesaro's head into each of the corner pads.
The going
down. The side effect on the that Matt hit on Sheamus on the apron looked really painful, and Matt ties it up with a twist of fate on Cesaro for the pin. The spot of the match was Cesaro going for the neutralizer, which Matt counters into a back body drop, but instead of taking the back body drop, Cesaro, that big man Cesaro goes over for a sunset flip and then locks in a sharpshooter. That's the spot of the night right there for me. That was fantastic. And then we end up with a double countout, so we have a draw. The match furthers the story without allowing them to beat the Hardys. This actually probably was how this should have been going when the Hardys were constantly beating Sheamus and Cesaro, and it would fix a lot. But just you saw what these guys could do in a 2 out of 3 falls match if they were given the actual time you should have, like 45 minutes to an hour for a 2 out of 3 falls match.
Yep. Yeah.
Which, in one hand, is good, because it makes me look forward to what they could do, but at the same time, it makes me sad, because they won't be given that time.
No, they never will. They'll never do this match again, and if they do, they'll probably be giving them, 45 seconds. Go out there and have your 2 out of 3 falls match. What we're going to do is we're going to have a run-in from, every tag team known to man, and it'll just be a giant schmoz. The crowd will love it.
Yeah, the crowd only loves a giant schmoz when there's nothing really happening. That's I think the thing that they really have forgotten is that a schmoz does not help if A, the crowd does not care, and B, well, really it's just A, if the crowd does not care. The thing is when you use a schmoz kind of properly, like a big run-in thing, it's when the match is kind of at a low point, but it's been at a high enough point that you've earned my care, and the story is good, and it fits the story, and really nothing about most of their title stories right now really any good.
The garbage.
Like Joe Lesnar, that's going to be great, but it feels like a placeholder because we've basically been told it's a placeholder.
Yeah, we were basically told as WrestleMania was ending this year that next WrestleMania was already booked and it was going to be Roman Reigns versus Lesnar for the title. And we were also told right away that there's no plans on taking the title off Lesnar in an entire year. Why the fuck would I care about this title? Why the fuck would I care about any match they're ever going to have for the title for a whole year?
And again, this is why I actually didn't like that Joe won the Fatal 5-Way, because it's going to ruin what is proving to be really, really good. But I know the ending, and that's why it's not investing me. I'm appreciating it for Joe's work. I'm appreciating it for Heyman's work. By the end of it, I will probably also appreciate it for Brock's work. Not yet, but by the end of it. But yeah, it's a placeholder feud, and that sucks. The tag team division feud between Cesaro and Sheamus and the Hardys has really kind of just bugged me the whole time, because it feels like it's been booked so very poorly, and any success it's had has been because these 4 guys are absolutely awesome. They are great. The Intercontinental title feud is kind of interesting now, but but it's Miz and Ambrose again. Anytime we have an Intercontinental feud now involving Miz, Ambrose, or Ziggler, I'm not going to care because we've seen everything those three guys can do. You know, big love for the Ohio State and those three guys all being from there, but guys, you've done everything I want to see from you. Can we move on to something new?
Yep.
Then, I mean, Truth and Goldust is good, but it's filler.
Oddly enough, I'm more caring about it now that neither of them are wrestling at all than I ever have before.
Yeah. Even
to their strengths now. Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
I mean, they got to wrestle at some point. Like R-Truth and Goldust are never going to have a 5-star classic. I would say if you could get 3 1/4 out of them, that's beating the odds.
I mean, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him get the time to actually have a real ass match. Like, give them half an hour. Let's see what they got for half an hour.
Yeah, no, I'd be down for it. At least it's something new.
These guys are well-schooled veterans. Give them half a fucking hour. You've been playing this angle for over a year. Give them half an hour.
Yeah. The Casadenza stuff has been good. I still, you know what? You can still go a lot of different directions on who's attacking them, and it would work. It could be, you could do it as a breakup angle. You could do it as keeping the team together. You could do it as a feud with the Revival. You could have it be Big Show. You could have it be, I mean, at this point, the idea that it's Titus Brand is out the window. That's gone. But
I think they'll probably, knowing what I know about Vince, is they'll probably try and have their cake and eat it too. They'll break up Cass and Enzo because Vince can't stand to see a tag team exist in the world, especially one that's over. And then they'll reveal that it was somebody else the whole time. But by that time, Cass and Enzo will be broken up. They'll move them on to different brands. They'll never be back together. I mean, they'll come back.
They'll be back together in like 5 years as a nostalgia pop.
Oh, I mean, I was gonna say 15, but then 5
years. They're not that. They don't think that far ahead. I'd say 5 years.
They don't think more than 8 minutes ahead, for crying out loud.
That's very true. But like the thing is like everything involving a title or kind of like a main storyline is not very good, and it's the stuff that should kind of be a throwaway that I'm really appreciating, and it's just such a backwards world. Last week was good, and this week not as good, and I think that pretty much sums it up. Is like what I should really be invested in, I'm not invested in. What I really probably shouldn't be all that invested in, I'm really invested in.
I just want to have R-Truth. I never thought I'd say this in my entire life. I want R-Truth to pop up constantly and just go, I'm sorry, did I break your concentration?
I'm sorry, did I break your concentration? Yeah. It's not a good sign when the second best thing on the show is an R-Truth versus Goldust feud. That's
correct.
That's not, that's a compliment to how well they've done, but that is an indictment on the rest of the show.
Also correct.
So that's all. We'll be back at you with SmackDown tomorrow and 205 Live.
Maybe.
And we'll be back with Lucha Underground possibly tomorrow.
Possibly.
Probably not tomorrow. I got a race tomorrow. Probably Thursday.
It all depends on you. Well, actually, tomorrow I got something else going on as well. So, depending on if you're going to bed right now, then no Lucha tomorrow.
I'm not up for the Lucha right now. I just don't have the energy.
See, there you go.
I apologize to the viewers, but I am definitely a little under the weather these days.
It's 19 hours past his bedtime. He's got to go.
No, I'm not going to bed. It's just I don't have the energy to delve into an hour of Lucha Underground. Or 2 hours of Lucha Underground. I don't really have it right now. Just feeling a little under the weather. I apologize.
I'm telling Vampiro.
Please don't tell Mr. Vampiro. He'll show up in my dreams and somehow spike me with a railroad spike in my sleep.
That seems likely.
It seems quite likely. I may be then scooting myself around in a wheelchair with my back broken because,
Neat.
Vampiro does things like that. So that is all for Raw. And you got SmackDown to look forward to. Hopefully it's better. I don't have faith that it will be, but hopefully it's better.
Can't be any worse than last week.
Last week was fine. I don't know why you're so against last week.
It was acceptable.
And we've had very unacceptable, so that's a high point.
I want better than that.
I know, I really do. There's so much Again, I don't think in my lifetime there's ever been a WWE or WWF roster, or really, honestly, any roster with more talent than this on it. And the show it's unable to maintain momentum. Like, there are some bright spots, but it's unable to just be good week in and week out. That's not good. So that's all for now. Everyone go watch Dominion again, because that will cheer you up.
Oh, yeah.
And we will see you tomorrow. Say bye to the people, Byron.
Get out.